is Raj Ekbal. I am the Chief Data Scientist here at Data Science Dojo. What we are going to do in today's session is we'll go over, um, in general, the curriculum of the bootcamp. What is the bootcamp about, and what this is not about? Who should attend? Who do we have as our target audience or potential learners? We'll talk about that. And we'll go over the logistics. We'll talk about the learning platform that we have, the labs, the content, the curriculum. I think I already said curriculum, and then also options for reimbursement. Many companies actually do reimburse for this if you attend the boot camp. Most employers actually, since we are offering a certificate from an accredited institution, I will go over how to actually get reimbursed and use your HR L&D budget for getting reimbursed for the training. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have been around for quite some time, actually. So one of the oldest players in data science and analytics and machine learning upskilling, and now we are also happen to be the first bootcamp on the planet when it comes to large language models and generative AI. Tons of graduates, tons of companies who have upskilled by either training their employees in bulk through our trainings, or by sending their workforce to one of our public offerings. So how did actually this bootcamp start? We are, as the name says, we are Data Science Dojo. But how did the LLM bootcamp start? When we look at the Chat GPTs and Bards and Claudes and Bing Chats of the world and the Geminis of the world, we see some of those use cases of building a large language model application, or a chatbot, as we call it often. Even though not all the cases of large language models are chatbots, but let's call them chatbots for now. There is, you have this illusion when you use it. Hey, these things work very well, and we'll just adopt. We'll just bring them in. Buy the technology or bring it on board. And life is going to be good. The problem is that when you decide to use these, what we call, the large language models in an enterprise scenario, things change. There are actually, first and foremost, a lot of challenges around data and AI governance. There are challenges around regulatory issues. So your data has to be, it cannot leave your premise. Right? So some of the classic, traditional analytics, and then classic predictive modeling and data science challenges that are there around where does the data go, where does the data sit. So proprietary data, regulatory challenges. But then there are other challenges as well. Let's call it AI governance. Are you in a regulated industry? If you want to use an LLM, what happens if your medical LLM hallucinates? What happens if your legal bot actually does not give a good answer? So there are a lot of issues around, broadly speaking, the data and AI governance category. And then there are some technical challenges. You have a lot of data. What if your model's context window is big or small? How much are you spending on inference? How much are you spending on building, or rather fine-tuning these models? How do you evaluate these models? This is not your true, false, fraud or non-fraud, or customer churned or non-churned type predictions. These are natural language answers that you have to evaluate. How do you actually evaluate your LLM after a change in the prompt or after you upgraded the model, after you uploaded new documents in your RAG pipeline? Um, how do you ensure that your model actually continues to work, or your application, I should not call it a model, your LLM application, it continues to work? How do you handle the brittleness of prompts? How do you keep the knowledge updated? How do you mitigate hallucination? How do you detect, measure, and mitigate hallucination? Um, Whether you use open source or closed source models, there are a lot of issues that applications like ChatGPT and Bard and Claude, they hide from you. And when we are using them as a consumer, we don't realize. And when we bring this LLMs in to our enterprise, suddenly we have this realization: it is hard. It is hard to build LLM applications. What do you do in that case? So this 40-hour bootcamp, it is a 5-day, 40-hour bootcamp, is fundamentally designed to get you from, as a very beginner or zero, let's call it zero. You start coming in not knowing anything about LLMs, not knowing anything about generative AI. And then over the next 5 days, starting from Monday, all the way to Friday, 5 p.m., we walk you through the different components. Um, and I will go over the curriculum in a moment. We walk you through this comprehensive curriculum designed by practitioners. So I teach good 30-40% of the bootcamp myself. Um, it is designed in a manner that you become a practitioner. And we have, I will show you, there are people who have attended. We have done trainings for big entities globally in LLMs, and we have some trainings lined up for big corporations who actually are relying on us for upskilling in large language models and generative AI. So we will be covering most of the mainstream tools and tools and libraries and packages. The most fun part that I actually personally also enjoy is the hands-on component of it. We are known for these trainings, not just the LLM bootcamp. Any training that we do for practitioners, it is a good mix of theory and practice. And then we have toward the end of the boot camp, we have a comprehensive project where we actually support you to build an LLM application. Um, we are um, a lot of employers actually within their HR budget. This is only some of them, but many employers, the fact that we are we offer a certificate through the University of New Mexico. Because of our relationship with this accredited institution, a lot of companies, you may not be aware, but you need to check out or reach out to us. You may not be aware, but your company has some central L&D budget, which this bootcamp very likely will be eligible for. And so, I can drop some names. So some of the names that you see, most notably Apple. We have someone from Apple attending our next training funded by the company. We have someone from Boeing attending the training, and Bank of America, and so on. So we have people actually attending the training from these different companies. So go check it out. And if you need our help, we'll help you with the process, because we actually are working with many companies in that regard. Regarding the training, all you need to do is bring your laptop. That's it. So many times people say, what software do I need to install when I come in? Nothing really. As long as you have a browser-enabled computer, everything else, your GPU clusters will give you access to those. As long as you have a web browser, you can access. We have Jupyter notebooks with Python code. and hundreds of code samples. We do like 40 to 50 exercises, 40 to 50 practical exercises across different areas and a hands-on project. So we provide you all the resources, including the cost of using OpenAI or any other cloud computing resources, any other large language models. We actually are responsible for that cost. Uh, our partners, we have partnered with some of the leading companies in this space to bring the bootcamp to you. So LangChain, VV8, Neo4j, and Arise and Security AI, all of these are actually our partners. Just a moment. I actually have cold, so I need to just out cough and come back. Sorry about that. Okay. We have all of these partners. In the past, we have partnered with many other companies. So depending upon, this is for our Seattle roster of partners. So partners, depending upon their availability and all of that, they are in and out of the bootcamp. But this is our roster for the next bootcamp. And then we also try to bring in people from industry. As you mature as a technologist, as you mature as an engineer, you realize that building a real-world an enterprise application, it is much more than just knowing the technology part of it. You need to know real case studies. Really need to know the actual practical applications. You also need to understand, what are the challenges, what are the regulatory concerns that you would have. And that cannot come in without bringing in some practitioners. So the people who are coming in, you will not be actually getting people who are you're not going to be getting people who are merely slide presenters. When someone comes in and talks about, say, embeddings, I mean, you will, or transformers, you will actually see that they are known for what they are teaching, right? So it's not just someone who just happens to know and read a paper and attended a conference here or a talk there. They actually know things inside out, right? So I am a practitioner myself. We have built a platform that is being used by companies, I mean, north of 50, $100 billion companies that are using our platform. So you will actually get all the insights from me as in, I mean, I can call myself the main product manager, the main architect of the application, and then and other people who will be presenting. They know exactly what they're talking about. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over the curriculum. I will show you what we have in the bootcamp. I will do my best to actually cover as much as I can. And based on the questions that we have, uh, I can go and drill down. And Kevin, maybe I can answer a question right now since I see it. Is Hugging Face a partner? No, Hugging Face is not a partner yet. And but that's a good idea. I think we should reach out to them. Our partnership with ecosystem, the way we have built it is, we have partners that are dedicated. For instance, I mean, I'll give you an idea. For vector databases, VV8 is a partner. And why VV8? Because they are one of the leading vector databases in industry, and they are one of the few AI first or AI native vector databases, because everyone is building a vector database, even um, uh, MongoDB has now a vector functionality. Postgres has vector functionality. SQL Server has vector functionality. Traditional classic search like Lucene and Solr, they also have vector functionality. So everyone is trying to hop onto that vector database bandwagon, but we have picked the best and the best vector database. Then I will show you in a moment knowledge graphs are actually have shown have I mean, there is evidence that knowledge graphs actually improve the performance of your RAG pipeline. So we have partnered with Neo4j, and Neo4j actually is our partner for knowledge graphs. So we have someone from Neo4j, they come in, we do hands-on exercises and so on. Then we have LangChain, and LangChain is probably LangChain and Llama Index primarily. I mean, these are the two foremost frameworks that are used in that realm. For compute, we partner with Runpod. Once again, well-known name. For observability, we have partnered with Arise. There are other players in the space, but I hope this answers the question. We do not partner for the sake of partnership. The partnerships are actually quite meaningful, and our partners are actually involved in delivering the bootcamp. So Zach Martin on Twitter asks if there is informational link I can send to some of the mentees I work with that are looking for structured coursework around this. They could not attend. Yes, Zach, we will be actually giving you, we will be providing you the link, and the team will actually share the link at the end of the bootcamp. And I think they may already have shared a link to the recording of this session. So I will go over the curriculum now. So 5 days, 40 hours. We start at 9 a.m. On a Monday. And then once you come in on 9 a.m., people arrive earlier. Those who are, you can attend in person in Seattle, the next bootcamp that is happening on February 3rd, from February 3rd to 7th. So you can attend the bootcamp in person in Seattle, or you can attend it online. Some people, they decide they want to attend it from the comfort of their home for any reason. So the bootcamp starts at 9 a.m. The instruction starts at 9 a.m. But people arrive early, I mean, having breakfast and all of that. At 9 a.m., we start with the overall idea of, we spend a very good idea to gain an understanding of the breadth of the overall ecosystem. So we start with, um, well, how do machines actually learn, and a very generic basic idea of how does machine learning work. Then you go on and understand your what does really embeddings mean. We go and talk about vector databases. We talk about RAG and retrieval augmented generation. We talk about fine tuning. We talk about context windows and context length. We talk about those token limits and all of that. We talk about the risks and what kind of challenges that you will run into when you're building an LLM application. We talk about any kind of security and other challenges. So by lunchtime on day one, you are very, very comfortable with the general appreciation. You appreciate the entire, the bigger picture of what is going on. And then post-lunch on day one, that is where we start actually to dive deep into the respective components. So think about this, the breadth first. So you go in breadth, you first understand the generic idea. And then once you have understood the breadth, you go and start to talk about uh, the more finer details of the respective components. Okay. Let me just a moment. Okay, so the first session in this, let's call it the first in-depth session, post-lunch on day one. Usually our lunch breaks are around 35 to 40 minutes. So Luis Serrano, he actually teaches the first session, and we start with a very basic idea. We don't expect you to have a background in machine learning. We don't expect you to have a very deep understanding of neural networks or RNNs, CNNs. We start with a very basic idea, really getting you up to speed, and all the way building our building this momentum, building this solid understanding. And then suddenly, things start coming together. We talk about, how do neural networks work, and how does a perceptron work. And then, leading and culminating in talking about attention mechanism, talking about the transformer architecture, talking about the encoder decoder architecture, and how does an LLM infer, and so on. These slides are taking some time to actually load up. So let me see. I hope this makes sense. How do you generate language? And you can see that we slowly get into the transformers business. We talk about this very detailed session. Um, uh, Really, Luis is, I mean, I look up to him I mean, I'm an educator at heart, but I mean, I cannot, teach as well as Luis. Luis is amazing. So he teaches it really well. And, this is one of the most enjoyable sessions, if I may. Um, Once this is done, now we come back and talk about, okay, now, and we have hands-on exercises, but then we talk about, okay, now that you have embeddings, what do you do with these embeddings? Well, we put these embeddings and we store these embeddings on into a vector. We load these embeddings in a vector database, right? So, well, what is a vector database? So we spend 6 hours, roughly 5 to 6 hours on vector databases. And the way this works is we start with a theoretical discussion, very in-depth theoretical discussion, starting from something as simple as how is a vector database different from your traditional SQL or NoSQL database. So we start to talk about that, go over it, we step by step, we are building this generic idea. Okay, so what does a vector database do? What kind of searches? Like it offers a vector search, a keyword search. What about if I want both? Hybrid search. We talk about, I want a bit of SQL as well, a bit of SQL-like functionality where I can filter things as well. So in that case, how do you filter things? And you can see that very slowly, this is about 169 slides. We don't cover every single slide, but it's a 2.5 to 3 hours session just on the theory side of it. Then we actually talk about how does indexing happen in vector databases. And then you can see that slowly, gradually, we are going to build things. I mean, these are some of the foundational concepts, and we take our time to actually explain the foundational ideas, foundational concepts in vector databases. So you can see that I will of course not go over every single slide here. I'm going to, show you what else do we do. Now, once you are done with this, um, you know, well, you understand the theory. What do you do in practice? So, uh, if you look at this, you get, thanks to our partner, VV8, so you will get access to a VV8 server. You will go and deploy your own vector database, and then you will set up, you will have these exercises on vector search, similarity search, and hybrid search. Let me click on hybrid search, for instance. So there are 6 to 7 exercises depending on time. Sometimes we do 6, sometimes 7. This is a lot of practical work. So we do this. You can see that you have these, connecting to VV8, you have these keys. And now creating a collection. Think of collection as a table in your SQL database. So we create a collection, and then we perform some searches. And you can see over here, importing the data. I'm importing some data. And we talk through these exercises. You run, stop. Maybe change this from a mammoth to an elephant, change it to a fox, or chameleon, or a gecko. Just change it and see how what documents are retrieved from your vector databases. and you can see, and then try to adjust and tweak this alpha parameter that actually decides how much of keyword versus how much of semantic search do you want. And you can see that it's one question that I get is, "Hey, I'm not a programmer." That's okay, right? Because all you have to do is, you are going to run, 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 and you just have to be able to, read Python code, and that should be okay. And after that, even if you're, I would say, if you want to be a technical product manager or founder or maybe an engineer while building an LLM product, you should be able to actually very, very easily follow this content. But by no stretch of imagination, this is easy content, right? So it's tough, of course. We do our best, but it's intense. But the intense in a good way that by the end of the boot camp, you should be able to build your own applications. So you can see that we are talking about a lot of different ideas. This is for filtering, etc. And then now you can see that we have an example of generative search. And generative search, think of this as a very, very basic example of retrieval augmented generation. Then we talk about multi-tenancy, vector compression. Why do you need vector compression? We talk about that in theory, and now you're seeing vector compression in practice. Vector compression is needed, when you have too many vectors. A typical RAG, a vector database set up in a RAG pipeline. I mean, I mean, tens of millions is definitely a possibility. And then for bigger companies, you're looking at hundreds of millions or billions of embeddings. So how do you compress this vector so the searches are as efficient as possible? Semantic caching. So you do not want to generate tokens or generate responses every time. How do you cache things? Once we have done all of this, then we go to the knowledge graphs business. And then we talk about knowledge graphs. So Adam Cowley from Neo4j, he actually comes in. So this session, the theory part, Sebastian from VV8, he does it. And then depending upon, him or myself, we cover the practical exercises. And then for knowledge graphs, we'll have Adam Cowley from Neo4j. So he teaches it, and we'll talk about how do you blend in a knowledge graph into your RAG pipeline. Once that is done, now that you understand what RAG is, then we talk about some of the nuances in of LangChain. So what is LangChain? If you are here in the informational session, likely you have heard of LangChain, but I will still mention, think of LangChain as a framework, that allows you to build LLM applications. And many of the most common tasks are actually already uh, available as a library, as a function call. So we talk about, let's say, when I go to Model.io, I will give some of the examples. Of course, the curriculum has a lot of moving parts, so I will do my best to actually touch upon as many areas as possible. So we talk about prompt templates. So if you don't want your prompts to be fixed, you want the prompts to be adaptive, prompts changing. Let me click it here. So you can see how easy it is that, as long as you have a computer with a web browser, you click on this, the lab pops up. We give you the API key. I will run here, and I will plug in my OpenAI key. And then after that, here is an example of how to create a prompt template. Then we go to, how do you give it, this few short examples. So this is another exercise on few short examples. So if you look at this, and then we discuss, right? So it's not just run, run, run. We pause on cells, someone asks a question, we discuss. Hey, what if I change this from a tiger to a lion, or an elephant, or a whale, or a pirate? So all of these examples, um, uh, really internalizing what is all of this about. Then we just close this up. Then we go to retrieval. In retrieval, if you can see there are exercises. How do you load documents from different data sources? Your SharePoint, your Dropbox, your Google Drive. How do you actually go and load documents? Then we talk about different kind of chunking approaches. How do you chunk data using LangChain? We talk about connecting to different types of vector stores, etc. Um, and then chains. How do you break down your LLM function calls instead of calling it in one go? How do you actually call them as a connected? How do you call an LLM as a um, and not just as a single function call, but as two connected function calls? And I think when this lab pops up, I should be able to show you this practical exercises. So, in this case, I will start with this exercise. Very often I teach this session. So I would talk about, okay, what is this library? We go and check, okay, what is this doing? LLM chain. This is a new one. So Chat OpenAI, by now you've already covered it, but Chat OpenAI, when you reach this exercise, LLM chain is the new one. Prompt template you already know by now. So we talk about this, explain all of this, and in this case, you can see that this template is we have broken down this prompt into three successive prompts, and then we execute. And we talk about other kinds of chains like router chain and MapReduce chain, and so on. We talk about memory. Uh, and memory is think of this as the easiest analogy would be is um, when I go to Chat GPT, when I start typing, I ask a question, Chat GPT responds. But when I ask a next question, um, you already have this ability your application should have this ability to interpret that your next question is in the context of the previous question. So we talk about different kinds of possibilities of how you can create different kinds of memories in your LLM application. Okay. Then we talk about agents, right? So it is all the buzz. It is all the hype is around agentic behavior. And we actually start with very simple search agent, very simple, very basic Wikipedia agent. And then we slowly build more of a multi-agent system, and culminating in multi-agent collaboration using LangGraph. And once again, if you have heard of LangChain, possibly you have heard of LangGraph. But the idea is that when you assign a prompt to when you assign a prompt to your LLM application actually plans how are you going to ask these questions, and then it breaks it down. Um, it plans how it is going to be answering the question. First, I will go retrieve this from a vector database. Then I will go to my search engine and retrieve this information. Then I will go call this API and retrieve this information. And then it combines all of those things. So you can see that we have these we talk about how do you define different tools that you have in your graph, and how do you create the graph. You're defining the tools. You can define the agent nodes and defining the edge logic and so on. You can see some interesting examples here. Very detailed and very comprehensive session. We spent about almost a day, 6 to 8 hours, um, 6 to 8 hours on just LangChain, because LangChain is very crucial for those of you coming from a classic machine learning background. think of LangChain as more like I know it is not a very exact analogy, but think of this as scikit-learn of LLM applications, right? So because I mean it is so comprehensive. If you want to read a file, well, there is a library for this. If you want to transform, join, if you want to do some feature engineering, if you want to call this model or that model, very similar to that, a very comprehensive framework that allows you to do stuff at lightning speed. After LangChain is done, we actually also talk about fine tuning. We get into a lot of detail for fine tuning. The same drill, I will speed up now. I think I will leave some room for questions at the end as well. Let me see. I think some questions did pop up in between. Okay, where is the bootcamp, Mehmet Kahraman? Mehmet, okay, let me go back all the way. There are more questions. So where is the bootcamp? The next bootcamp is happening in Seattle. We have done these bootcamps in Seattle and online. So Zen bootcamp is happening at the same time in Seattle and online. Some people join remotely. Some people are actually in the room in Seattle. Um, we have done these boot camps in other cities as well, but at least the next boot camp is happening definitely in Seattle. Um, Humayu, which company is this? Yes, Humayu. I can guarantee that people um, who are the instructors, they have very, I would say, they have extensive experience of what they are talking about. I'm one of the lead instructors for this training, and I spend for the last 2 years, I've spent 60% of my time, and my 60% of time, think about like maybe 8 hours a day. I've spent most of my waking time in actually building an application, from product management to technical discussion to architectures and re-architectures, not just from an AI perspective, but also from the software engineering and large scale distributed system design. Um, so, um, and uh, and the application that we have built, right? So anyone can build an application, right? As a matter of fact, I mean, you can build something in an hour if you like to. But I'm talking about an application where our most recent client is an 80 plus billion dollar company, and their entire tech support stack or their technical support, SEF 3 and SEF 4, um, um, support queries, they are going to be resolved by what we have built. So I can safely say that we are the roster of instructors is actually some of the leading people in industry at this point. Um, Let me see which companies the instructors have worked for. Unfortunately, I've worked only, I mean, if you subtract my experience as an intern, I've worked for only two companies myself, Microsoft and Data Science Dojo, right? So yeah, it's not a very extensive experience, but I mean, that was on a lighter note. You can rest assured that, I mean, whether they have worked for one, two, or five companies, they are practitioners. So I can assure you that part. Let me see. What other questions are there? Okay, Charlie, your question. So multi-agent system is just a collection of functionality that has not been organized to accomplish specific tasks and can be built by ever-increasing layer of complexity and functionality. So really just a system development approach that allows inclusion of LLM and Gen AI capabilities. Charlie, yeah, I will have to be very careful in answering this question. So my quick response is yes. Multi-agent system is essentially you're looking at um, basically, you have a bunch of different what we call tools, right? So you have a web search, and you have an API call to something, and uh, um, you have a RAG application, you have a vector database, you have a SQL database. Um, a multi-agent system at a very basic, simple application of a multi-agent system would be is that you have these a bunch of different data sources, bunch of different sources of information, and you have a planner that actually coordinates your actions across different kinds of tasks. Uh, I should do this task and followed by this task and this task. So it has this reasoning ability. And I'm oversimplifying it. Of course, it's quite difficult to build these systems in the beginning, of course. And then Um, so there's something called assistants, and my definition of assistants versus agents is assistants are more, they are less autonomous. You have to keep interacting with them. Agents are that, they can still work when you're behind the scenes, right? So, and you can connect, you can assign them tasks, and or they can take actions on your behalf. And Charlie, feel free to shoot another question if this wasn't satisfactory, because I have to also wrap up the presentation. Happy to answer if you have more questions. I will go back now. So we do fine tuning. In fine tuning, we'll first go to we will go on to explain um, the general idea of fine tuning. Why do you need fine tuning? What is pre-training? Why not pre-train all the time? Why fine tuning? And then what is transfer learning? How are they related? Challenges in fine tuning. We talk about, replaying the data again. We talk about catastrophic forgetting. Some kind of challenge, the challenges that happen when you're fine tuning. Then we talk about optimizations when you're doing fine tuning, quantization, low rank adaptation, QLoRa. And then this is about 2-ish hours, hour and a half to 2 hours on the theory of fine tuning. Then we go ahead and spend another 2 hours on fine tuning Llama 2 7 billion model, 4-bit quantized model to be precise. And then we compare the model that was not fine-tuned versus a fine-tuned model. We give you all the resources, the GPU cluster, so the cost, we bear the cost of fine-tuning, and all you do is just go and log into the relevant place that we ask you to. Then we talk about observability and monitoring. So imagine that you have you are it's almost like, I mean, wouldn't you want to log? Logging is important. What happened, right? So how did you break down the prompt? I mean, what were the altered queries? Whether we hit a RAG, whether we hit a vector database, what chunks were returned from vector database. So really being able to tell what is going on. Do you have any prompts that are toxic or not? So we have this session Arise, which is once again a leading framework, and they also have a SaaS option. So we talk about observability in depth. We have hands-on exercises for those as well. We go over that. Then we spend quite a bit of time on evaluation. Evaluation is, interestingly enough, I mean, I've been doing machine learning for a long, long time. Um, uh, One of the things is I that I've always found fascinating is people do not know how to evaluate these systems. And I know, I mean, yeah, I can calculate accuracy, I can calculate precision, recall, really understanding the spirit of evaluation. Not many people understand it, right? So what we do here is we talk about, perhaps I can show you a sample of the lecture slides, if that makes sense. So it is not, right? So many evaluation modules, they might look like, hey, we are, just a moment. Okay. Okay. Let me just allow me. I think this slide deck is a bit out of date. And you can see that nothing is scripted here. These are actually real. This is real stuff. That hence this. Okay. I think I found the correct slide deck here. Um, um, Okay, this one, yes. So I will bring up this actual slide deck. Now take a look at this, right? So, so we are practitioners. So this slide deck started like a year and a half ago. It looked very different, and now after close to 6 enterprise clients and a lot of feedback, we have come down to this that we are talking about, so evaluation, it is going to be in a lot of detail. Then when you look at this, now we are talking about, evaluation data sets and evaluation metrics. We start with what are some of the evaluation tasks, right? So if you look at this, are we talking about translation? Are we talking about understanding? Are we talking about text generation? Are we talking about dialogues? Are we talking about evaluation for bias? So we talk about all of that. We are not actually anything that we know by now, we are going to teach, right? So, of course, I mean, this space is evolving very, very fast. So anything that is out there, we try to update, and it is hard to keep up. But you can see now that we talk about different types of different data sets that are out there, what kind of benchmarks are there. We talk about start with the standard machine translation evaluation metrics, and we go all the way to Rouge is also your traditional metric for machine translation. BERT score is somewhat semantic evaluation approach. And then we go all the way to, RAGAS. And RAGAS is when you evaluate not just your response, but your entire RAG pipeline or RAG setup. So you can see that, as I said, this is a practitioner's view of things. And then when you get a practitioner's view of things, we have included anything that we thought. These some of these slides are I wish I knew. So when I started building a year and a half ago, we would have built something much more robust if you knew, and in some cases, if these things have existed. So Ragus was not around, I believe, or at least I did not know that Ragus was there, but we incorporated Ragus in our own product only like 6 months ago. So we have evolved quite a bit. And then once you understand the theory side of it, now you can see that we have exercises around all of these, all the words or the keywords that we had dropped moments ago. We have it, those keywords here. Then we also have this exercises around deploying a fine-tuning model. And finally, we have this a project, and we give you boilerplate code, and you start with that boilerplate code, and we give all the resources, right? So I wish we had the time to actually go into the detail, but we give you all the resources. We explain how things are working, and we ask you to push your code into a GitHub repository. Then you deploy your application in Streamlit. We ask you to, hey, can you add this chain? Can you add a search agent? Can you do this? Can you do that? So we slowly, gradually, actually, everything that we have learned, we put it together. What else? Let me go back and see if I have anything that is left. I'm not going to go into this. Okay, I should go into this, right? So this is roughly the technology stack that we use. We will be primarily we use OpenAI for the work that we do. You get OpenAI keys. We touch upon Llama 2. Hugging Face, we use it, but not on the model side, but Hugging Face does get leveraged, Azure Search, VV8, LangChain. So you can see that we will be touching upon a lot of things in this ecosystem. So this I've already talked about this. The general idea of this is the curriculum in a slide fashion, but I have already showed you this. I don't need to uh, go over these bullets again and again. This is our set of instructors. I can confirm for the next one. I'm going to be there for sure. Luis is confirmed. Adam is confirmed. John is confirmed. Sebastian is confirmed. Sophie is going to be there. Sage is going to be there. And so, it's a good mix of it is a good mix of instructors, and really will all of them be there at the same time? I wish we could. The problem is that these are busy people. They're not just, I mean, they have their other um, high profile startups. They are busy. They have their day jobs as well. So it is going to be actually hard to have all of them at the same time. But I mean, the ones that I said, I mean, those people are going to be there. And this is our partners. I mean, they love us, the partners who are collaborating with us in this. And in addition to that, customers. This is only some of the companies that have attended our training. We have had people from traveling all the way from Australia, as far as Australia. I think on the planet, it is as far as it can get. So we have people traveling from Australia, the Middle East, people attending from Europe, South America, and so on. And our next boot camp is happening in Seattle from February 3rd to 7th. So same boot camp is going to be, some people will be attending online, some people will be attending in person. Um, Happy to answer any other questions. Let me see. The questions are, let me very quickly see. Okay, what background do I need? What background do I need to attend the bootcamp? Really, you don't need to be. So typically, the question is, even if you don't know machine learning, the classic machine learning, I don't think you need that. Even if you are not a programmer, if you're not a coder, not a developer, that's okay. We have tutorials that can ramp you up on Python. You don't need a whole lot of Python. If you can read Python code, that's pretty much all you need to be able to attend. What else? It's a general interest in building LLM applications should be fine. Okay. Let me see. I'm going through the comments here in case there are any questions. Usually there is one more question that gets asked. I don't see it here. Proportion of theory versus practice. So um, it's a good mix. So we don't overemphasize on one thing, because some courses, they can be very, very theoretical, right? So really, even if you understood the entire transformer architecture, even if you understood the attention is all you need paper with all the math in it, you cannot build a good application, because building a solid LLM application, it is much more than just knowing the AI component. As a matter of fact, I mean, I can safely make this statement. The 95% of building an LLM application is actually good, solid software engineering. Maybe there's 5% AI, so you still need to be a great software engineer or a great software product manager or great software project manager. Yes, there is AI component to it, but under the hood, you actually use the AI component as a black box. So it is really AI is mostly, for the most part, AI is being used as a black box. And then you are a good architect. You are a good plumber, a glorified plumber who's actually bringing things together and building things. You have to have a very good understanding of business side of it. You have to have a very good understanding of the risk side of it. And the security implications, the regulatory implications. You have to be able to, I mean, you have to have a good sense of UX design. So we talk about all of that from our experience. We share our best practices. We have sessions where we actually talk about. I did not mention those slides because they don't fall under, the standard category. But there is a session called "Challenges in Building RAG Applications," and then over there we talk about the challenges that we faced, and we think that anyone who's setting out to build an LLM application should be familiar. Okay. And I will just take a look in case there is another question. And I think this is it. I do not see any other questions. I will just give it a few more seconds if there are no more questions. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. Okay, what is the total cost? The total cost is, as we speak, on the website, it is $3,500 after a 30% discount. What we do is the prices actually change based on, the first few seats go on 30% discount, then the next few go on 25% discount. So it's more of that, how early you register, how many people have already enrolled, etc. So, I've not checked the price myself in the last few days, but the last I checked, it was at 30% discount and $3,500. If you work in the United States, it is very likely that your employer already covers this bootcamp, but you would have to reach out if that is the case. And we can help you really sort this out. Okay, and sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone. I will end the call. Okay. Once again, there any bootcamp in Dallas? Interestingly, Dallas is the only place where actually a friend of mine, he's insisting that you need to come here. And then we may have a bootcamp in Dallas. So Lenga, Reddy, if you are interested, please drop us a note. It's just an interesting coincidence. We may have a bootcamp in Dallas, but I cannot confirm. I mean, for now, Seattle is the place. Um, Sounds good. And then Nasibe, my company has some programs to cover the cost. How can I get a brochure? I plan to attend virtually. Is it possible that you reach out since Nasibe, you are on the Zoom call, so you can click on one of the links that have been posted in the webinar chat. Go ahead and click and reach out to us, and we'll take it from there. We will be more than happy to help you out. Okay, and yeah, last minute questions are coming in. I think that should be it. Thank you, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing at least some of you at the bootcamp. Have a great rest of the day.